Well, everybody's set. Great. Hello and welcome to my presentation. This is going to be about browser hijacking via cross-site scripting. So first of all, let me introduce myself shortly. My name is Daniel Fabian. I work for Seconsult Unternehmensberatung GmbH here in Vienna, and I do mostly penetration testing and also some consulting stuff like ISO 27000 and so. But my heart is actually in penetration testing. I like it better to sit in front of a computer hacking instead of presenting before management. Actually, this is kind of a large audience for me, so please bear with me if I'm a little bit nervous. Just a couple of details about my company. We were founded in 2002 in Austria. We have branch offices here in Vienna, and we were founded in Wiener Neustadt, where we still have an office. And some years ago, we also opened up a branch office in Montreal, Canada. And starting next year, we'll also be in Germany. Well, we are focused completely on information security. We don't sell any software, hardware, which makes us independent from vendors. So whenever we find security flaw in a product, we don't have to fear that the vendor is going to be a problem for us. We're completely independent. We're specialized in security audits, especially with web applications and basically all kinds of other services. And security coaching, a big step for us was we developed the ONR 17700, which is an Austrian standard or some kind of standard. We developed it together with the Austrian Standards Institute, and it's about web application security, It states the minimum requirements for making a web application secure, the requirements the application needs to fulfill in order to be secure from SQL injection, cross-site scripting, and file inclusion, whatever. It is also certifiable, so if you have a web application, you want to make sure it is secure, you can certify it according to this standard. This requires a source code audit, so after the audit you can be pretty sure that most flaws have been found. We can't name most of our clients because we respect their right to refuse to let us take them as reference, in order to protect them from hackers like you, so not to attract them. Some customers we may name are, for example, the European Central Bank, Austrian National Bank, Mondi Packages, Austrian Lotteries, or OMV here in Austria. All right, so what can you expect from this presentation? Basically, it's all going to be about cross-site scripting. Cross-site scripting has been around for a while, actually like a decade or something like that. But I surfed the Full Disclosure Archive a couple of days ago, and there's still practically every day or almost every day some cross-site scripting posted. For example, I found one that was published about the site of the Bank of America, where you should expect some security. But you just need to take the parameter MSG, add some JavaScript, and it's going to be executed. Another cross-site scripting is someone found and published on Full Disclosure is, for example, in How2Forge. And I don't know if any banking folks are present that know Fish Market. It's a page that has specialized in finding cross-site scripting in other web pages. They published for basically every major bank in Austria and Germany cross-site scripting vulnerabilities. It's a little bit old, the page, but it hasn't been updated for a while, but there's still vulnerabilities open and have been found in mid-2006, and the affected companies still haven't been able to fix the vulnerability. All right, so some of you may probably think cross-site scripting, well, actually, this is boring. Everybody hates it when someone posts it, cross-site scripting flaws on mailing lists like Full Disclosure or Bugtrack or whatever. I found one particularly interesting posting, which is not so old, posted by Repex on November 11. It's called On Cross-Site Scripting and Its Technical Merits. Basically, it's an article questioning if cross-site scripting has a place on mailing lists like Full Disclosure or Bugtrack. The reasoning behind the article is cross-site scripting isn't technical, no matter how it's used, according to the author. People who use cross-site scripting on pen tests, real hacking, anything but phishing are lame and can't write real exploits, where real exploits are defined as non-web or other web bugs like SQL injection and stuff. And well, publishing cross-site scripting shows your weakness. Well, while I agree on the last part, publishing cross-site scripting shows your weakness, because I think you should at least give the webmaster of the affected page the chance to remove the cross-site scripting vulnerability before publishing it. I think cross-site scripting indeed still has a place on mailing lists like Full Disclosure. It cannot be as easily exploited as other web bugs like, for example, SQL injection. The thing is that with SQL injection, you are actually attacking the server. And the server is always there. It will always give you your response. So when you find an SQL injection vulnerability, you type in your SQL statement, and basically immediately you get the response from the server. You get the content of the database, you get the usernames and passwords, whatever the vulnerability is about. With cross-site scripting, it's not quite as simple. Cross-site scripting requires at least some kind of user interaction because you don't attack the server itself. Even though the vulnerability is on the server, you are attacking, in fact, the clients. The clients need to visit the page, for example, where your JavaScript is loaded, or they need to click on a link. So the results from this vulnerability isn't as instant as with other web bugs, which is why I think that some people think of cross-site scripting as boring, because they need to do more work. They need to send out phishing mails, for example, in most cases anyway, or they need to place some JavaScript statically on a page. Some fun cross-site scripting that I'm not sure anyone has ever tried. I didn't, but I just made the scan for this presentation. You just fill out a transfer sheet and wire some money to some of your friends, or not so much friends, whatever. And as note to the payee, you include some JavaScript. What happens when you file this sheet is probably someone is going to enter the text that is on the note to the payee, which is, in our case, some JavaScript, which is loaded from a server, which is located somewhere in Florida. And the cross-site scripting is loaded and does some bad stuff to your online banking when the user logs into his online banking account and has a look at the transactions and the money he got. You want to know why I know that this server is located in Florida? Well, actually we hacked this server. And I don't think the guy that owns the server minds, because he was already arrested by Lieutenant Kane from CSI Miami, as this screenshot shows. All right, so seriously though, what is cross-site scripting about anyway? Basically, there's two different kinds of cross-site scripting. One cool cross-site scripting and one not so cool cross-site scripting. It's permanent cross-site scripting. This is the cool kind because you can store JavaScript on the server. You inject some scripting code. It's mostly JavaScript, but it can actually be anything. It can be objects like Flash, applets, or just plain HTML, whatever, into the web application. The application stores the JavaScript, and whenever a user surfs on the page, the JavaScript is loaded. This is mostly found in applications like forums, for example, or webmail applications, or file uploads. A fun example is, for example, did you ever see one of those online recruitment portals where people can apply online, and mostly there is also a possibility to upload files like your CV and whatever. Sometimes they just allow PDF, but sometimes also pages like HTML are allowed, so you can upload your CV in HTML. Well, what happens when someone uploads an HTML file with some JavaScript is probably sometime after you file your application, someone from the HR department is going to have a look at your application, load the files that you have been uploading, and the JavaScript is executed, which is actually pretty comfortable because then you even have the user account of an administrator, can steal the cookie and get access to their backends. The second type of cross-site scripting is temporary cross-site scripting. This is where the scripting code is injected on the fly and it requires way more user interaction than the permanent cross-site scripting type. The reason is that mostly you use the HTTP GET parameter to inject JavaScript, but it can be basically anything. It can be cookies, headers, post parameters, whatever you are able to manipulate on the response from the server. So in this case, as already mentioned, user interaction is required. I made the example at the beginning of the presentation with the Bank of America cross-site scripting. This is a typical temporary cross-site scripting because the message tag needs to be used to inject the JavaScript. So in order to largely exploit such a cross-site scripting, you need to craft, for example, phishing mails and send them out to millions of users and hope that some users will be stupid enough to click on your link and the JavaScript is executed. Another way is, for example, just posting your link to a forum, and when someone hits the link, the JavaScript is also executed. So with cross-site scripting, you can have some fun. I collected a couple of ways or fun things to do with JavaScript. One of my favorites is always webmail, because webmail has the advantage that most webmail clients or servers, whatever you call them, display HTML mails. And the problem is that normally you have no problem in filtering JavaScript when you don't need to display HTML. But as you require HTML and need to show HTML tags and so on, it is pretty hard to get out all the JavaScript, because JavaScript, there are so many ways to inject JavaScript through an HTML page. For example, it can be in the event handler, like on click, on error. It can even be in cascading style sheet files. You can do all sorts of tricks in order to make the script tag obfuscated. For example, with Internet Explorer 6, there was a vulnerability where you could make the what's it called in English? Spitze Klammer auf.
Angel bracket.
Okay, yeah, that bracket, and then a null byte, and then script. The browser still recognized it as script tags, but most of the application that filtered out script tags didn't recognize it anymore. So that was a trick that worked a long time with webmail applications. Once you have found the cross-site scripting vulnerability in webmail, all you have to do is send an email to a user that uses the webmail and wait until he opens his mail. When he opens his mail, the JavaScript is executed in his browser, and you can do the classic, namely steal the document.cookie. As in the cookies, mostly the session IDs are stored. You can have his session ID, and at least while the session is open, you can take over his session and read all his emails. The second method was already mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, which is via online banking. Another fun way is to, for example, use exactly the sheet or wire some money via online banking. And when the user logs in next time, the JavaScript gets active and stays active in the background. We'll see later on how this can work, for example. And when the user does his next payment, you just in the background change the amount and the destination account of his wire, and instead of paying his electricity bill, for example, he pays you an arbitrary amount. Cross-site scripting has another advantage. As it is executed on the client and not on the server, you can basically do anything the client does, which is, for example, surf on the intranet. there is a nice way, which was actually only recently found, called anti-DNS pinning, to get to the